how things work. This is an example of a project we did last year where they had 8 vertical industries at the start of the project. Now, I'm a little guilty of that too, because when we did our company, we had lots of verticals, but I think we did it not exactly right. So going through and saying, okay, based on the application, what are the top verticals? Based on the application solution, what are the top geographies? Along the way, maybe tinkering a little bit with some partners and some future exit partners and so forth. But the idea of target segments, functions of the business, and going through and really making the tough choices, because, you know, as you guys know, anyone that says, I can help anyone, what can you help them with? I can help them with anything. You know, so I've had a lot of startups that tell me that I can help anyone with anything. So it's sort of like, boy, it's not credible. As you know, the more narrow, the more focused you are, the more likely it is that your customer will look at you and go, holy crap, this guy is a world expert in what I need. I need to work with him or her. So that idea of being an expert and distilling it down, the same thing for validating insights. So use cases, we had a list of about 40 of these. We came up with 5 at the end, and they were very specific roles we focused on. Normally what our exercise is about is, or what we emphasize on these, you don't have to do this with us, you could do this yourself, is that you're really focusing on that business executive, because that's the executive that's typically a little bit not truly respected in the websites. When I look at the websites people have, and I'd love to sit down with any one of you and look at your website and give some quick feedback on that. So figuring out your content roadmap, so you've got that clarity on the business gains or the logic or the fear, whatever those things, and kind of having that roadmap validated, having your action flows, knowing how your outbound and your inbound processes can be designed. So you've got your distributed team, you're 30% of the people are in your office and 70% are out in the field, or 90% are in the office. In both cases, you have that playbook. And when you hire your VP of sales, or your VP of sales is like, okay, I really need to put my foot on the gas pedal, he or she has everything they need to go crush it and go take the right hill with the right tools. I'm also a big fan of pre-location in the physical world. So organizing parties, like what's WEG did, Worse Equity Group did when we had that gathering at Summit north of Legionovo. That was great. Being able to do that also though with industry players. So as an example, I will just, I don't know if I can show this or not. Oh, maybe it's down here. So I'll just show something that we did. No, is it the?
It's good sound here.
Is it? Well, anyway, oh. So last month we had about 60 executives in Amsterdam, Adidas, ABB, Philips, the VPs of transformation, and we invited all these guys because our clients wanted to meet those people. So we organizing gatherings where you invite, literally, you make the invitation list 3 months early for people in the room, or when you guys do your WEG stuff next year, being able to bring in those executives, making them feel welcome, making them feel at ease. Maybe you carve out some focus groups where you're leading the focus group, and there's a topic that's compelling. We'll pull some people and make sure that they're in the focus group. All these types of things are ways of physically pre-locating. You don't have to go out and machine gun the market and run around traveling and knocking on doors and meeting people in their cafeterias and their offices. You can bring all of them to you. Okay, so that's a pre-location. Pre-locating can be taking a video and distributing it effectively to the right person in the right company and explaining it in a way where they actually take the time to watch it, because it's like they're really surprised at how you're reading their mind. Or pre-location can be throwing a party in the physical world. Those are, to me, great examples of how you, in the COVID era, can sort of jujitsu your sales process, especially with those important target companies. It's okay. It's no big deal. Yeah, we don't have to do this. We rented a boat in Amsterdam last year in October 2021. We had FedEx and Uber and SAP. Well, SAP is more of a partner, but we had lots of DHL's had a managing director was there. We did something in San Francisco, 2013 to 2018. Every year, we would do something in Microsoft's office there in downtown. And all of these things are small, but they allow relationships to be built, and relationships are really important for enterprise. Right.
Told you we are a technology company.
Yeah, sorry about that. I got us off track with the video thing. But the idea of outbound is a great way to tune things, to understand how to get your content laser focused, but also to reach out and you can throw a party. And parties are also good for building those relationships. Talent. The last thing I'll mention here is I'm a huge believer of young talent. There's we've worked with a couple hundred young people, throwing them on projects and just saying, hey, go off in LinkedIn for 2 months and connect with these people, and maybe having some veteran folks, some advisors from different companies that can come in and provide some perspective. So there's a whole process around when you get into the inbound side of things. After doing outbound up here, you start to get into, you're iterating. So you're repacking and tuning your foundation copy. You're going into these interactions. Are you getting the ratios you look for? Like we generally see 20% connections in LinkedIn, for example, for scenarios that are good, maybe 5% when they're not going so well. You can have an amazing technology, but it's in a very busy space, and it can get a low hit rate, 2 to 5%. So these connect ratios will tell you a lot. Eventually, you're going to get down to this question of, are you perceived as unique? Can you scale up your lead gen? Are you getting $1 back for every dollar you're putting in to this machinery when you start to spend money? But scaling up, becoming a master of scale, using the unpaid traffic campaigns, building your profitable sales team, working into your inbound, your paid inbound, once you've got this first piece in place, and not hiring until you can hire some basic stuff, but you don't really want to blow out the doors until you've got it tuned up. And of course, there's different phases of how much automation you want to have. Using video rather than using a person to explain something. I don't know. I don't understand why an executive, a founder would ever want to explain themselves over and over and over again, get all that stuff in a really nice automated video for yourself. So again, the first thing you're going to do, unpack, validate. Second, you're going to test with outbound. You're going to codify your stuff, and you're going to scale that up. And you can do majority of that remotely. And once you've got that remote stuff dialed in, you can actually start your international expansion. So this presentation has been generally for B2B companies who have a great product. They know it. They're not quite sure exactly what the competition looks like everywhere, but they know pretty well. But they're committed. They have an ambition to be a top 5 category leader on the planet. Also for VCs that have strong portfolios, companies, and they want to support them and get them on that track to success. So we've talked about translating a growth strategy into a growth architecture. We've talked about different traffic sources, talked about video sales letters, and why I believe, even as a guy who's been in B2B for 20 years, if you can imagine, I can't believe it, but I've been in it for 20 years, and it's only the last 2 or 3 years that I've seen the light on video, and I'm now completely convinced that is where you need to spend money, and that will unlock your market, done properly. And the interplay between outbound and inbound. And I did think a lot about the hardware versus software question before in the last couple of months, or last month rather, as I knew I was coming, I was like, hardware, software, because 70% of the companies we worked have been software. But microelectronics with XTPL or Adyen, the IoT device company, we've done hardware. And I think my conclusion is that this methodology is equally important to both, including the inbound-outbound question, but there are some nuanced differences. You know, in terms of boots on the ground, you might have to have more boots on the ground for a physical product. In terms of your research and development, I mean, you're still going to do it here because you got the talent and cost structure here in Central Europe. It's a huge advantage over anyone in the world. So you want to use that in both cases, I suppose. But in hardware, you know, like Pavel last night, if you don't mind, and we talked a little bit about, luckily I had one person to talk to before I came here to you guys. I was like, look through my deck. I felt terrible. You're like, why is this guy showing me my deck? But, you know, on your website, you know, you've got your chips for navigation, your chips for medical health. There were various products that were on that website. Digital solutions are much more agile. You know, you can talk about a use case in digital and kind of make your product look like you've got it pretty easily, depending upon how you explain it and configure it. Hardware is not that flexible. So in hardware, you really do have to pick sort of a product or an area that you're going to focus.